welcome to Squadron Officer School. Let me start by asking you a question. Are you a hedgehog or are you a fox? I'll explain the difference in a moment, but here's a hint. The metaphor goes back to the times of ancient Greece. I'm Colonel Jason True, and given my affinity for esoteric Greek references, it isn't a surprise that I was given the call sign Toga during my first operational F-15 assignment. I've had multiple assignments in the F-15 and the T-6 before I came to Air University. I've been part of the Squadron Officer School team specifically for almost 2.5 years now. First as a squadron commander, fresh from getting my PhD, then as the dean, and now serving as the vice commandant. As you may have heard from your peers or supervisors, we've been busy reimagining our program since August of 2019, starting with a new mission and vision statement to enhance air and space-minded leaders primed to prevail in competitive environments. With that strategic aim as our guide, SOS faculty have been working tirelessly to gather ideas from other PME courses, but also from academia, from industry, and even from past students in order to make this course more effective, more relevant, and now more flexible in order to operate virtually. In fact, what we've done during the pandemic is not just move our course to an online environment. In other words, we didn't just simply take a step sideways. We moved diagonally. We used the friction of this challenging environment as a traction in order to do things not just differently, but better. The result is a new program that preserved the best of our previous curriculum, added new content based on our research into best practices for adult education, and rearranged the course into a more coherent flow. There are 3 phases in SOS, each build upon the other with leadership, then human-centered design, and then finally joint warfare. The first section will focus on leadership, the art of influence. This phase is designed to help you hone a deeper understanding of yourself, what makes you stronger, and then apply that same mindset of empathy and curiosity and awareness to your team and what makes us stronger together. This is the foundation for everything else you will do in the course. And I would argue it's the foundation for everything you will achieve in your career. After diving into how to build highly effective teams using foundational leadership principles, you'll move to the second phase, which is accelerating change and solving problems together. And these modules, which we call strategic design, you will apply the team building techniques and leadership behaviors you learned earlier to solve problems in creative and collaborative exercises. While some of the phrases you'll hear, phrases such as design thinking and human-centered design, may seem unfamiliar or maybe even inapplicable to defense professionals, these are accessible, validated, effective techniques that 1, coincide with leadership principles, and 2, are being adapted to encourage innovation across organizations worldwide, including militaries. The third and final phase covers your last 2 weeks at SOS. You'll pivot from thinking about day-to-day problems that all leaders face to issues that are more broad, but apply to our whole profession, the profession of arms. And if anything, our profession faces an increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous operating environment, and one in which, as the National Defense Strategy reminds us, we have no right to win. Indeed, prevailing in this competitive environment is not just about winning battles at all. It is about realizing a continuing advantage in the context of joint, all-domain operations across a spectrum of activities that often exists somewhere between this false dichotomy of pure peace and formal war. And these conversations about gray zone warfare and great power competition, they may seem distant to some of you. It may seem irrelevant. Trust me, it is not. Whether you have realized it yet or not, the world we live in, the world you will work in as you continue your service to this nation, that world has changed, and we need a new paradigm. We must adapt a new way of thinking, or we will lose. Many of you are undoubtedly aware of this shift, but we need to share that awareness broadly across both the Air Force and the Space Force, regardless of your job. In other words, we need everyone to understand what it means to be air-minded and space-minded. And I'll give you a hint. Those terms probably mean more than what you think they mean. The real meaning is more broad, more relevant, and more important. To re-emphasize this idea that what we do matters, regardless of our job, I'd like to relate a small story. The setting is the early 1960s. We are in a space race with the Soviet Union, and President John F. Kennedy has already set the ambitious goal to land an American on the moon before the decade is out. As the story goes, the young president was visiting a NASA facility He came across a janitor mopping the floor. And the president asked, "So what do you do here?" The janitor said, "I'm helping put an American on the moon." What you are doing here, what you are doing, regardless of the task, is having the same strategic effect. I know it may seem redundant or mundane or disconnected from geopolitical competition, but what you're doing is actually helping secure our nation against real threats. That's a big leap into global issues if you struggle to wrap your mind around the small daily problems. So we've got to talk about that before we talk about the big issues. And indeed, those small daily problems that you're learning to tackle in the design course will actually have a strategic effect if we can do enough of these innovations in your units. And that's what we're hoping to equip you with. But even solutions to those small daily problems will escape you unless you understand others on your team. And to bring us back full circle to the start, the foundation for understanding and leading others is to understand and lead yourself first. So that's the logical starting point of our curriculum. But it's not actually the real starting point for your own journey. The real point of departure is the decision you'll have to make on your own to enhance your own performance so you leave SOS better than when you started by virtue of your own attitude and effort. And it can be daunting. In fact, if you're not at least a little concerned about your ability to live up to this challenge, then you're probably not taking it seriously enough. But for those who do, those who feel that slight sense of uncertainty and insecurity about their ability to excel here, here's the good news. You already know how to work hard. You are already well on your way to mastering whatever it is that you do in your daily life. Now, of course, without any less effort to those tactical issues of building expertise in that domain, now you need to begin to apply that same work ethic in a broader, more strategic sense. And this brings us back to my original question. Are you a hedgehog or a fox? The question comes from an ancient Greek poet who wrote, "The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing." So let me explain briefly how that line has been interpreted, at least by the writer Isaiah Berlin, who wrote that those words mark one of the deepest differences which divide human beings in general. And this is what he wrote. "There exists a great chasm between those on one side who relate everything to a single central vision, and on the other, those who pursue many ends, often unrelated and even contradictory, who lead lives, perform acts, and entertain ideas that are centrifugal rather than centripetal. Those who seize upon the essence of a vast variety of experiences without seeking to fit those experiences and ideas into a single set of beliefs. The first kind of intellectual personality belongs to the hedgehogs, the second to the foxes." So the answer to the opening question, at least for the vast majority of students that have ever come through SOS, is that you are a hedgehog. But we need you to start thinking more like a fox, to open your eyes and your mind to what else goes on in our services and what else goes on in a world of joint all-domain operations. So yes, we need you to be a leader of yourself and of your team. And we need you to see where that team fits in with other teams. And SOS isn't designed to equip you with all the skills you need for that, but we're a great place to launch that journey. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Thank you for being here, and let's go become better together.
Welcome Class 21 Bravo to Squadron Officer School. I'm Colonel Ricky Mills, the Commandant. I like to start with the two most important words in our English dictionary, and that's thank you. Thank you for your service, your contributions, your sacrifices, and thank you for being a part of Class 21 Bravo. General Brown, our Chief of Staff of the Air Force, says that our people must be multi-capable and adaptable team builders, as well as innovative and courageous problem solvers. And they must value diversity of thought, ingenuity, and initiative. To meet General Brown's intent, we have completely redesigned the Squadron Officer School experience, and here's how. We partnered with the highly sought-after Air Force Leader Development course for Squadron Command, also called LDC, to create a student experience that was centered on trust and meaningful connection. In week 1, you will learn to know yourself in order to lead yourself. And in week 2, you'll learn to know your team in order to lead your team. And then the third week is accelerating change and solving problems together. General Brown has made accelerating change or lose his guiding vision moving forward. And General Goldfein, the previous Chief of Staff of the Air Force, used to say to all the squadron commanders, hey, don't wait for the Air Force to solve all your problems, because he was counting on us, me and all of you, to get after those problems ourselves. So here at SOS, we teamed with Stanford University, the University of Michigan, as well as the Joint Special Operations University, to immerse y'all in leading-edge innovation and problem-solving methodologies. You will get the chance to explore, prototype, and test possible solutions using diverse perspectives. And in the final 2 weeks are joint warfare, where you'll explore the fundamentals of great power competition and better understand air and space power. You will then have the tools to solve military problems in a complex and competitive environment with your team using those newly discovered leadership attributes that we'll have introduced to you. So what does SOS need from you? I used the term ACE before it became Ask Care Escort, and that is attitude, choices, and effort. For attitude, I expect you to have a positive and upbeat attitude, as well as a growth mindset. For choices, I'd ask that you consider making the choice to get your proper rest, exercise, and nutrition, which are the 3 things that neuroscience confirms will help maximize your learning and also maximize your resiliency. I also ask you to make the choice to be open-minded, to make the choice to invest in yourself and focus on self-improvement. And then consider applying for the Air University Advanced Research elective or our think tank elective. The last part, the E, is for effort. As I said earlier, SOS partnered with the Leader Development course. We also partnered with Columbia University to provide you all the best virtual in-residence experience we can. And the only cost of admission is your effort. And if you can do these 3 things, with the right attitude, making good choices, and giving your best effort, I can guarantee that you'll graduate as better leaders who are better equipped and connected to keep our Air Force and Space Force the most dominant and respected in the world. I want to thank you again for your service and for being a part of 21 Bravo. Our instructors are excited, and they've been waiting for you. And I want to wish each and every one of you a safe, productive, and happy New Year.